look at where we are. This is Long Beach.
These streets right here, they've been serving up sun, fun, and horsepower for almost 50 years.
Green, green, green.
The Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach is away, and Kirkwood gets a great start.
The battle for third is 3 wide.
Elio Castroneves did not make it through the fountain area.
Joseph Newgarden going from 8th to 4th.
Oh, no, you got a car in the barrier.
Ottawa Ward takes a late look to the inside of Scott Dixon.
To the 550 to get a penalty for that. Negative. Wow.
I'm not going to apologize for that.
I guess it's all gloves off from this point.
This is good for us, Kyle. When the pit's open, we will come in. Copy that. Go, got one left.
Newgarden puts himself behind the race leader.
So that was brave. No contact, no worries. Joseph might be a handful on the restart on those reds, but he's got to go quite a long way on those.
Going green this time. The 78 stayed out, so he's technically the leader. Go 6 is a lap down, so pretty good mess.
We're back to racing.
Now you've got Callum Eilert coming out of the pits in front of his teammate. This is going to stack up all the true race leaders.
Turn 8, here comes O'Ward again. Pato O'Ward spins. Kirkwood gets away with it.
But the biggest winner of all is Joseph Newgarden, your new race leader.
Get out of the way. Man, do what you can. Smart.
Here goes Newgarden. He wants to get through this traffic.
Now it's a tire and fuel gain.
Yeah, copy. With you guys. We're putting some pressure on Joseph now. Copy that.
Kyle Kirkwood taking a run on Newgarden.
Just making a run.
Bigger thing. Get this lap here.
Look who's in the pit. The 2. That's in early.
Got one leaving down here.
Grosjean gets out ahead.
Kyle Kirkwood diving into the pits now.
And coming out of the hairpin is Romain Grosjean and Joseph Newgarden.
No, you're clear. You're clear. I'll clear out.
Kirkwood's going to beat them both out.
Andretti Autosport running 1-2.
You got to save a ton of fuel for us.
Painful.
I know it's painful. 98's the number.
Yeah, it's a big ass.
Either that or finish 18th.
For the first time, Kyle Kirkwood goes to victory lane. He wins the historic Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach.
You just won the Long Beach Grand Prix, buddy. Way to go! Let's go, Ron! Yeah! Oh my gosh, thank you so much, guys.
This is amazing, man. Oh my gosh. What a day. Came out with a win at Long Beach.
To the Push to Pass podcast. I am Derik Vance, and joining me as usual, you see there, Josh Roberts as well. And yes, we did add one more co-host. I know everybody is familiar with him. I'll let him talk here momentarily, but yeah, that was the highlights from the 2023 Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, won there by Kyle Kirkwood. And yes, somebody that can talk about that race is joining us. Josh, great to be back on a little bit of a hiatus, but how have you been lately?
Fantastic. It's starting to get warmer weather here in Indy, so you know what that means. May is just around the corner, but before we get to that, we have the Acura Grand Prix at Long Beach, and as you were saying, we have Devlin DeFrancesco as a great co-host this week, and can't wait to hear his insight and expertise on what this track is like and how it drives.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. And without further ado, again, as you see there on the screen, the Push to Pass podcast, myself and Josh are excited to be able to add this gentleman to our weekly show as his schedule allows. But yes, as Josh just pointed out there, Devlin DeFrancesco is going to be able to join us, like I said, as his schedule allows. Devin, first and foremost, huge thank you for joining us as your schedule will allow you to. Tell us, people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you both for having me on here. Very happy to be here. My name is Devlin DeFrancesco. I drove in the NTT IndyCar Series for the past 2 seasons, 2022 and 2023, for Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport. This year, racing in IMSA, the IMSAC WeatherTech Sports Car Championship with Forte Racing with Lamborghini. and putting my plans together for a 2025 campaign in the NTT IndyCar Series that hopefully I'll be able to talk about very soon.
Yeah, definitely a exciting time, Devlin, for yourself. Like I said, again, huge thank you for being able to join us. Hopefully, your IMSA series season is going well. I know we're going to Long Beach this weekend, or the NTT IndyCar Series is going to Long Beach this weekend. Obviously, it's a track that you are familiar with, as you said, being a NTT IndyCar Series driver. We're going to break down and discuss that a little bit, but from a driver's perspective, I would like to have you walk us through what it's like going to a track on race weekend. What's everything that for people that don't know behind the scenes, that don't get that access? What's it like for a driver when they get to the racetrack on a Wednesday or a Thursday?
Huge excitement coming into the race weekend because all your preparation has been done the week before in the beginning of that week, whether in the simulator, at the shop with the team, looking through previous video, previous data, things like that. So when you get to the track, at least in my point of view, it's a very exciting time to get there, see what the track's like, see what the changes have been from the previous year, looking through when you do your track walk on the Wednesday and Thursday, depending on when you arrive, of course, and what the schedule is. And then discuss through the run plan with your team and your engineers on what the plan will be for the weekend.
Good stuff there. Pretty much like you said, that you do all your prep work, all your sim work during the week, and then it's pretty much in installing that race plan on Thursday, going into to Friday, and then obviously into Sunday. As we take a look at the track layout there, anything different that you can tell or you can see from running this race last year to what the track looks like this year?
Everything looks generally the same from the track map. I'll actually be there on Friday, so I'll definitely have a look at things when I get there. But from the track map, everything looks the same for sure. It's a very iconic place, right? It's been around forever. It's a very historic race for the NTT IndyCar Series. It's one of my favorite racetracks over the course of the season. Definitely quite a tricky street course. So, but everything from here looks very, very similar.
Josh, as you look at the track layout, track map as well, anything come to mind that drivers could potentially have trouble with on Friday practice, Saturday qualifying, or Sunday for the race?
I would say pretty much probably practice and qualifying. I mean, seeing you're out there and you're. Hold on. Let me ask you this: do they do the same type of qualifications here as they do all the others, where they start out and they have two different sessions, and then it gets down to the Fast 9? I'm not too familiar with what this qualification like.
So, at least this weekend in Long Beach, I think they'll do the similar road course qualifying as that's been done before. You'll have both groups in round one, and group one of round one, group two of round one. The top 6 of each group will transfer into the Fast 12, and then the top 6 of the Fast 12 will transfer into the Fast 6 to fight it out for the NTT Series P1 award.
Okay, thank you for that. I would say in probably in practice, just everyone's going to be cautious and taking it easy. They don't want to mess up their car. From the video we just saw and watching it last year, there are some hairpin turns, some ways where you could lose control of the car and hit those safer barriers or those tires. So I would say practice is probably, as it always is, it's just feeling out of the track, and then qualification. I don't see any problems. I've never seen any problems through qualification. Everyone seems to be very accommodating on the track with trying to go as fast as they can. It's going to be race day when you get in there and you're battling for positions, and one car gets a tad too close to another car and sends them off into those tires of those safer barriers where they're really going to have a problem. From what I see of the track layout of the map, yes.
And I know, Josh, you were just talking about what the weekend schedule is going to be like, and Devlin was breaking that down. I can pull that up for everyone here as well. As you see, first practice is going to be on Friday there, and then getting into Saturday is practice session number 2, and then after that practice session number 2 is that qualifying that you guys were talking about. You'll have your 2 groups, and then it'll break down even further till it gets to the Firestone Fast 6, and then as Devlin pointed out there, that will determine who is the NTT P1 award winner. And then Sunday, you have that early morning wake up there, as you see at 9 a.m. So that's got to be early there on the West Coast. And then you see the race kicking off there as well. So that's what the schedule there looks like. Next question is going to go. I'm going to turn it to Devlin here. When you're walking this track here, when you do your track walk, as you mentioned there on Thursday, what are some of the things that you and your race strategist are looking for on Thursday when you do your track walk prior to that first practice session?
So generally, firstly, we're all the safer barriers to make sure the safer barrier hasn't moved, to see if the corner radiuses have changed at all from last year. That will determine our min speeds, as well as potentially in some of the particular corners where it's gear dependent and you're not sure whether it's going to be a third, second, or first gear corner. The radius of the corner could definitely maybe change what gear you'd be in at the time, as well as the track surface. If things have been repaved, if the curbing's different in certain corners, all the basic things that we need to look to make sure are the same as last year. And if they're different, how are they different, and how will that affect us once we're out on the track and practice one on Friday?
So definitely a lot, Josh, I think obviously goes into that Thursday walk through. Anything that maybe we haven't covered yet so far, just looking at the track map there and what the schedule is going to look like, Devlin, that you can give us a little insight on with Long Beach and what some of the viewers should look for this weekend.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? You cut out there for me for a second.
Is there anything else so far that we've maybe missed, or drivers pick up on at certain tracks, especially for Long Beach this weekend, that you think the viewers should pay attention to?
For sure, the corners that have runoff in the end, the trickier corners like turn 9, turn 1, turn 8 as well on the exit. Tricky corners like that could definitely catch a few people out in practice 1 as everybody's testing the limits. So definitely those are good places to watch from. It really is great, at least from a driver's point of view, when you attack those corners and really nail it on the lap for the fan to see from the outside. It really is a sight to behold.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And then I know another factor in a race strategy for a weekend, especially at a street course, has to do with weather. And this is what the weather report looks like initially for this weekend. So obviously, it is going to be absolutely picture perfect. And Devlin may disagree with that, but if you see their Friday, Saturday, Sunday, high 70s and then 72 with sun on Sunday for the race. So like I said, I know weather plays a huge role in your race strategy as well. When you look at the weather forecast, Devlin, for this weekend, and from a race strategic point of view, what are some of the things you see there with impacts to the weather?
For sure, the cooler temperatures are going to help the Firestone tires last a bit longer in the race, especially the alternates. I don't know what construction or compound of alternate they've brought for this weekend, but the name of the game really on the street courses is how long can you make those alternates go and without dropping a huge amount of lap time.
So definitely, tires and weather are going to be something I think we need to pay attention to this weekend. Josh, just looking at the weather as I put up there on screen as well, looks like it is going to be picture perfect. But you always the weather can change, as we know here in Indiana. The weather can change at a snap of a finger.
Definitely, and. Those temperatures were a little bit low. I figured for being out in Long Beach it would be a little bit warmer. I know this over here in Indy it's going to be a little bit cooler this weekend, but I figured it'd be warmer warmer in the other places. Devlin, I have one question, and this has nothing to. It doesn't have to do with driving. It's got more to do with during the weekend of a race. What is okay? Like your sponsor responsibilities? Events that you go to, different things that you have to do for your sponsors. What kind of impact does that have on your driving? I mean, are there late night dinners, or is it basically that they kind of leave you alone to where maybe you have to do one or two meet and greets, but you don't have to do a whole lot?
From that point of view, I'm very fortunate. The sponsors that I've had, over the 2 years that I participated in IndyCar have been nothing but supportive and amazing. The dinners that we'd have, going over things, the support that they give me. If anything, it makes me want to do better and be better. Knowing the support and the great people that I have behind me, supporting me to be able to do this, it only makes me strive to do better and be better on track.
Okay, I always wondered about that. I mean, different. I know here coming up in May, we'll have different drivers that sign at different venues throughout Indiana. I know that me and Derik have been to a couple places where they've done some autographs in the May, but I didn't know how much extra effort that takes upon the drivers, and how much that might detour. I don't want to say detour, but take away from some of the focus of the drivers. So
I wouldn't say it does. I wouldn't say it does, because it doesn't take focus away at all. I don't think it's a critical part of motor racing and IndyCar racing, and the sponsors are there to support us and help us. So anything we can do to accommodate them is amazing in my point of view.
Okay, that's just something I've always wondered about drivers and their public commitments, as I would put it, I guess.
Devlin, I know, we were talking off air here, and you were speaking about the number of entries that are taking place as of now in IndyCar. I'm going to allow you to expand a little bit on that, because I'm kind of curious to hear your point of view about what I think you said, 29 entries right now.
I think it's 29 for next year, and if you include the announcement of Prema Racing joining the series for next year, a very formidable team in Europe. But I think it's great for IndyCar. It shows that the demand to not only for teams but drivers as well is very high to be in the series. It's an amazing time to be a part of the NTT IndyCar series, and I think Roger Penske, Mr. Penske, has done an incredible job with the series from when he took it over during COVID, pre-COVID times.
Now, let me counter that a minute, because I know there's been a few rumblings within the last couple weeks about the way Roger Penske is. I don't know if it's branding IndyCar or with the other IndyCar owners. What do you say to those owners that want Roger Penske to give up ownership?
I don't think it's my place to say. I'm not a team owner by any means at the moment. I'm a driver. But there's always things that could be done differently. But I think for the most part, Roger's doing a good job.
Yeah, I'll let Josh,
A very good job,
form
I
his
might add.
opinion on how Mr. Penske is handling IndyCar, and I'm in the same boat, Devlin, that you are. I think where he has taken the sport from where he bought it from, I think he's done a tremendous job in some things. The additions he's made to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Getting back to some of the old tracks that IndyCars raced at before. Milwaukee comes to mind there. What he's done with branding for Iowa and what Hy-Vee's brought to the table as well. So yeah, I think all in all, Roger has done a tremendous job, and I think there's some more things that he can do, to expand and get more eyes on the sport. But right now, I think you're absolutely right, Devlin, that Roger is doing the best job that he can. Josh, what do you think about the job Roger Penske's doing in IndyCar right now?
I think he's doing a fantastic job, and I think it's ludicrous that anyone would want him to give up ownership of a team. Yes, he owns different entities in IndyCar, but he's also, I could see if his teams were dominating and for some reason rules or other things were coming out that were benefiting his teams over the other teams, such as Juncos or Dale Coyne or Chip Ganassi. But for anyone to think that Roger Penske, who is a staple in motor car racing, is going to give up his team is just ludicrous. Are there things that he could do and that the upper brass of NTT could do to better publicize the events or something like that? Yes. As Derik said, I'm a big gambler, and I like to wager on different things. And except for the Indy 500, I've never actually seen Caesars or BetMGM or anything else put any real effort into trying to promote racing. And I don't know if that's just NTT's IndyCar's not going after that kind of demographic, or they're afraid that it would in some way, tarnish the racing by bringing in gambling sites, which I don't think. I think if you had such a Caesars Grand Prix held somewhere, maybe you could hold it at Las Vegas Speedway or something like that. I think that would be a good thing. Also, just different avenues, like sports cards. Me and Derik just bought a box of sports cards, and it was made by a company that I'm not familiar with. And I would say if they could go after getting a licensing with Topps or Panini at some sort, their cards are really well done with F1 and NASCAR. So, but overall, I think that Roger Penske and the folks at NTT are doing their best to get the word out there that IndyCar is just as exciting, if not more exciting than F1 or NASCAR. So my hat's off to Mr. Penske, and hope he keeps up the good work and does well, and brings the IndyCar back to what it used to be. Not that it's anything bad.
To say to your point, we have our trading cards now that are now out this year, and also our TV show 100 Days to Indy. So I definitely think it's gaining traction. It's now on Netflix. It's definitely moving in the right direction. There are rumblings of a charter system that I've read that it could be coming in, that could make things very interesting for owners as well. So I do think there's just only positivity coming to the series right now. The series has had a lot of traction, and I only see it improving from here.
That's something I want to hit on, Devlin, is the charter system, because I'm a little bit in the dark, and that's probably apologies to myself, but explain the best you can how charter systems work. I know they have them in NASCAR, so would it be kind of the same similarities with the charter system in NASCAR if IndyCar does decide to go to that?
I don't think the charter system in IndyCar has been finalized on how it would work or what even it would look like yet. But I mean, from what I understand, the way NASCAR do it, each entry inside a team has a license to be able to participate in the series, and I think that's only driven demand up to be involved in the series. So, from my point of view, I think it'll close the door to anyone else that would like to join the series, and I think create demand, which and therefore would create value.
Good stuff there. Yeah, like I said, I've just as you said, I haven't heard that being finalized. I know that's a lot of rumblings, as you said, about that. So we'll just have to, put that top. I know another thing that Devlin you talked about was this was tested just a few weeks ago at IMS. I know me and Josh talked about this the last time we were on, but IndyCar going to the new hybrid car, I think as early as Mid Ohio. Talk about that a little bit because I know me and Josh got into it a little bit, but we weren't able to expand on the topic any further. So, what can you tell us about IndyCar's new hybrid car that I think is going to be rolled out at Mid Ohio later in the year?
So I haven't actually driven it yet, so there's not much I could say from that side, but I think it's good that the series is moving in that direction. I think it also could introduce another element in terms of the actual racing, not only saving your push to pass, but making sure you regen at the right point to be able to deploy the energy at the right point to defend people and to defend against people, and at what point in the lap will it be the most effective. I think it's just going to be another variable that makes IndyCar racing so exciting.
Let me ask this, because I know there's been a lot of talk about rolling out this hybrid car right during the middle of the season, how it could be fair to some, unfair to others. As you as a driver, would you prefer IndyCar to wait till 2025 to roll this new hybrid car out so everybody's on the same plane, or are you in favor of basically switching car styles right in the middle of the season?
It's a very difficult question because I think if the big teams are the ones only getting the testing with the hybrid system, then it's definitely going to put the smaller teams at a very big disadvantage. In my point of view, if they roll it out mid-season like they are, I just think it needs to be sure that the smaller teams will get enough running in with the hybrid so they are as well prepared as the big teams are for once it gets rolled out mid-season.
Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. Like you said, the bigger teams, Penske's, Ganassi's, like that, are definitely going to be at advantage because they're going to be able to have more track time than the other smaller teams that are going to be able to have less track time. So I think that's a perfect common sense there answer, Devlin. But I did see that our guest was here, but he popped back out. So. Josh, anything that comes to mind right now over the first few topics that we have discussed until our guest can come back?
Devlin, tell me what is it like to drive an IndyCar? I drive a police van and I go no more than 80 miles an hour, but to be in a racket ship, as I would call those things, what is it like to be driving wheel to wheel, inches away from another driver? What kind of feeling is that?
It is the coolest job in the world. Us as drivers are definitely putting a lot on the line every time we strap in the race car. So that I don't think can be forgotten. But it really is the coolest job in the world. The capability of what these Indy cars can do, especially on the ovals. The speeds that we reach, I think, are mind-boggling. At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in qualifying, I think last year I hit a top speed of 241 miles an hour going into turn one. Like it's pretty mind-boggling. When the boost is turned down, and you're in traffic, it's already tricky and timing runs and things like that. But when that boost is turned up on Fast Friday, it definitely makes the hair stand on your back. That's for sure.
I can imagine.
Yeah, no, it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, I can't imagine Devlin going 241 miles an hour down in turn one. No, that's not for me. Hats off to you, because that's definitely not for me. But I do see
without lifting,
guys, that our guest this evening has joined. This gentleman is the host of the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. Jeremiah Morrell is joining us. And Jeremiah, first and foremost, a huge thank you to you for taking a little bit of time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening. For people that are unfamiliar with you or don't know you, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, Jeremiah Morrell here in Newcastle, Indiana, so home of the world-famous go-kart track, just a couple miles down the road. We have a local interest podcast that we've done for about 7 years out here, but it's also my excuse when I get bored of local politics and talking about people raising water rates. I drag a bunch of racing people through the building. So over the last few years, I wrote them down and said, I'm going to leave my way out. Marshall Pruitt's been over here. John Orievett's been in the building. Chris Wheeler, now the strategist on the Ganassi car. Kyle Robbins, the Silvercon driver. He's actually a Newcastle guy and has been here many times. Logan Adams, who's Mark Dismore, I think, is his grandfather. And Logan's on the road to Indy right now. Brayton Laster, local Indiana guy, who's been in the ARCA series. We joke that Brayton's parents must not love him because at 18 years old, they let him out at Daytona, just running ARCA cars. And then he does figure eight racing too. And then Robin Miller joined us too. So lots and lots of cool people have come through the gates here. Personally, I live out at May. Live May out at IMS in Lot 2 and Lot 6, hanging out there with the campers, and go to Mid-Ohio. Big fans of IndyCar over here.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a who's who has stopped by your studio a time or two for interview. But interesting, you have a political background, but yet you're into racing as well. What got you into racing?
So I grew up in central Indiana. I wound up here when I was about 10 years old. Grew up in New York as a NASCAR fan and kind of watched NASCAR races I could in the early 90s, and moved to central Indiana when I was 10. My dad wound up working for Allison Transmission, so he was working on 10th Street, and the Speedway was 6 blocks north, and he would get these really, really cool opportunities with those guys that would put us in the garage area in the suites and hanging out on qualifying day. And it is the ultimate hometown sport where you can hang out with the drivers, like Devlin, and I met Mario Andretti, hung out with. It's incredible the amount of people you get to know. In Alex Pallou's rookie year, we kind of said, "Hey, we're going to cheer for Alex," and he was first year with Dale Coyne. It was a COVID year. Kind of texted back and forth and had some fun, and then the next thing you know, he was in the Ganassi car and on his way to the IndyCar Championship. So we're the OG Alex Palou fans around here too.
Nice, good stuff. Good stuff there. We were just talking a little bit ago before you came on. Obviously, IndyCar is at Long Beach this weekend. And we've seen in the past what kind of race that could be. Strategy is going to play a big part. Weather doesn't look like it'll be an issue. What are some of your thoughts as we have all of the drivers out there at Long Beach this weekend? What are you looking for? And, maybe at the end, who do you predict is going to come out on top?
Yeah, it's a great event. So I actually got to go in 2016. It was one of my first road trip IndyCar weekends. I flew up there for the 3 days and got to experience Long Beach as a fan. Didn't really have anybody I was trying to connect with, but just went out and hung out, and it was incredible. And I don't think they've had any weather in the history of Long Beach. It's been sunshine every single race for the 49-year existence of the Long Beach Grand Prix. As far as what's going to happen that weekend, interested to see how the new qualifying format works, or the practice format. The first cars are getting split, and they're changing the time up versus what they had at St. Pete. I think qualifying is going to be super important. I want to see if Newgarden's still got things figured out like he did at St. Pete, or if maybe the Hondas can fight back. The Andretti cars were really, really good there previously with Kirkwood winning. And then, Ganassi was completely out to lunch at St. Pete as well. So second street course race of the year, I really want to see if Honda has got what it takes to challenge. I don't know if they do.
Yeah, a lot of great storylines, I think, going in Long Beach this weekend. Like you said, Joseph Newgarden, this newfound focus that he did in getting rid of all of his social media, definitely going to be something to watch. And if teams can have that they had from St. Petersburg, and it seems like with such a big gap in between St. Petersburg and now, St. Petersburg has been many moons ago, and way back in the beginning of March, and that was something that we, Josh, Devlin, any questions so far that you want to ask Jeremiah? The floor is yours.
In your opinion, who do you think is going to come out on top this weekend? If we had to ask, what are your thoughts?
It's a really good question. It really depends on qualifying and how things go. I don't think you're going to see somebody really march through the field. So I really think Scott McLaughlin and Joseph are the two that are probably the most likely to be at the front. Past that, it's going to be a matter of who responds well to the new aero screen as well. I think they just dropped 20 pounds off the car, and nobody has done any testing with that. So we have no idea what's going to come in. You're going to have some folks. You're going to know better than I do, Devlin, as to who has the engineering resources and what changes have to be made. But maybe that's the opportunity for Andretti or McLaren to get on the board and get a win. The fact that McLaren didn't win a race last year at all is just incredible. They were top 5 in it all the way around. And Long Beach, you've seen some folks that should win races, and Colton Herta is among them. Where street races, you're kicking butt, and then you make one mistake like he did in the first year at Nashville, and a win that you should have is just gone. Same thing happened with Rossi out there, 3 years ago when he was in the Napa ride. You just one wall steps out, and your car is done, your day's done. So it's probably as close to a super speedway stock car race as you're going to get an IndyCar when you run out of a street race. And Christian Lundgaard too. Yeah, I don't want to discount him. He was absolutely spectacular in the street races last year. So I was surprised at how far back they were. And once again, I think it's just Honda falling behind this year. So I want to see what changes people make this weekend. But I would give the edge to Chevy, and the Penske's are the most likely.
Jeremiah, do you think this could be Pato Award's race this I know you've talked about the other cars, but what do you think? What do you think his chances are of actually coming away with a win this week and not being the bridesmaid and actually being the winner this time?
A lot of podiums for Pato. Yeah, it's very, very possible. And I got a feeling that he and the team might find their way down to the beach. You just go beyond the chicane and you're out on the beach. So maybe they'll run out there and splash around a little bit. It's very plausible, but you got to put the whole race together. I think last year Pato had some trouble early too. So you got to finish. And that's, you don't see a lot. You see some surprises, Mike Conway, Takuma Sato, but you don't see real young surprise winners at Long Beach very often. Your Simon Pagenaud's, your Scott Dixon's, those are the guys that usually find their way to the front. Obviously Simon's not around, but he was there in 2016 when he won the race that I attended. Really stands up well for veterans.
I think Long Beach is a tricky place, and experience really does play a role there. There's a lot of nuances to that place, and in terms of putting a whole weekend together there, I think it's a tricky place. Turn 9 is quite tricky with the bump, and especially the last corner as well. I think making those reds last, as we said earlier in the podcast, I think it's going to be a very critical part of the race this weekend, making those Firestone alternates last. I think that's going to be very, very critical.
And with the configuration that they have at Long Beach now too, that coming off pit road, you always get those really fun entrances into turn 1 where somebody comes out on cold tires and tries to hold on, and you hope that nobody, you don't have contact or something happens. But there's just so many variables. Long Beach is, top 3 or 4 race events of the year. Indianapolis is always at the top for me, but Long Beach is right there. It's just a great show and a great event.
I mean, there always is an unexpected there, as you said. I mean, if you look back at St. Pete this year, I think Firestone came out with a tire that was ready for the hybrid. And as we all know, we don't have the hybrid yet. I think that's coming in Mid-Ohio. So there has been, at least looking through at St. Pete, when I analyzed it, there was definitely a lot less degradation. So I definitely think it could be more of a push and less tire conservation than in years past with this current spec of Formula E and IndyCar.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be interesting to see, and that's why everybody's going to tune in on Sunday and see what's going to happen. Is it going to be Penske St. Petersburg, or is it going to be somebody new? Like the drivers that you both all just mentioned there a little bit ago. Time will definitely. I know. But Jeremiah, you came in. We were on the caught the tail end, I think, of the conversation. Car. I know they tested these hybrid machines a few weeks ago out at IMS. I want to get your thoughts on switching to the hybrid machines right in the middle of the season at Mid-Ohio. Curious to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I host a politics podcast too, and I think there's some politics involved in the hybrid decisions, and owners and manufacturers that have invested a lot of money in it. Honda and Chevrolet need to get value and have something that they can market. And the reality is that they have to show hybrids to folks to be able to sell hybrids on the showroom and to validate the money they spend in racing. So I understand why it's having to happen this year. You didn't want to push it off an extra year when you've got another engine formula that might be coming a year or two, in 27. I'm not mad that it's happening in Mid-Ohio. I'm glad it's finally happening. The frustration that I have goes back a year and a half, 2 years ago, where you continued, and it's a part of COVID supply chain, vendors, whatever. The way that the hardware in IndyCar advances is very frustrating if you're a fan, and I'm sure if you're actually in it and living it and having to buy parts and pieces, especially for a small team. If you're in that bottom third or bottom quarter of the field, you don't have the opportunity to test and recover. When they threw tires on a car that are designed to work with the hybrid system, they have a gearbox that's designed to work with a hybrid, as a hybrid. I guess it's not a hybrid system, but as the hybrid. Now you're changing the weight structure again on the car this weekend with the windscreen. Every single weekend there's some different variable that's going in to this car. It's a car that's been around for 12 years, but yet it's different every weekend, and that's really tough for the back end of the field. I'm excited. The one takeaway to it is that I think that in Indianapolis in May, we are going to have absolutely insane speeds on pole day and for the race, and maybe we're going to hear a new track record ring out in May with the really lightweight cars. The shavings they had. Pelot was insanely fast on pole day last year, and I think those were the second fastest laps in the history of the Speedway we saw in 2023. So in 2024, with a car that's 25 pounds lighter, yeah, I think that part's awesome. So we're going to have this tiny little window of 2024s where you're going to get to have those really high speeds, and then we're going to find out what the reality is from Mid-Ohio on.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something else I've completely forgot to mention to Josh and Devlin. I know they talked about the new windscreens that are going to be put in place this weekend. I do have a video for that, and I can show that later. But what differences are there? I think they're minor, if memory serves me correctly. But what are the differences between these the old windscreen that they have and then the new one? I guess they're considered the Aero Screen 2.0. I think that's what they were saying. What are the differences between?
I don't know who he threw it to.
I think, I'm not sure. He I know he didn't throw it to me. He was probably talking to you or Devlin. What are the differences between the old windscreen that they had, and what are in the new one that they're going to roll out this week? Can you give us any insight on that?
Best I could tell, they've added some ventilation, and I think they 3D printed the superstructure for it. So they've taken away some of the visibility that the drivers would have had. Devlin, you can correct me on this, but the previous one, they were super careful on making sure that they didn't obstruct the driver's field of vision. And this time they were able to reclaim some of that space back, add some ventilation in, so that it's going to help as we get into those summer races. And they also took a bunch of weight out. I think they've got some different materials in there that I think the glass itself is maybe 8 pounds lighter, and then the superstructure of it's like 12 pounds. So it's a 20-pound reduction. Still nothing that's going to get down my size in an Indy car, but 20 pounds is a big deal for one of those.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to have quite a big effect in terms of the minimum speeds potentially, and the balance of the car can definitely change with the lighter weight. It'll definitely have, I think, less understeer in general, but I think a lot of the teams are so well equipped. I think they'd be able to test through the simulation software and see how that would affect the balance and affect the starting setups going into a race weekend like this.
Do you think that the weight they lost in the rear at the beginning of the year, now you've lost that weight at the front, do you think it's closer to the balance you would have had last year when you were running there?
I think potentially yes, and I just think the minimum speeds will be a little bit higher, and I don't think the tire degradation will be quite as high.
You're going to do 42 in the last right-hander instead of 37.
Potentially, yeah. And back to power maybe a little bit earlier. Yeah, definitely exciting. It's definitely exciting, and I think it could potentially shake things up.
Good stuff. Yeah, I just took a glance earlier at the Aero Screen 2.0. I haven't dug into it, but I'm planning on this weekend. So good stuff there from both of you. Jeremiah, I know you need to run here, but again, first and foremost, huge thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to join us on the political side of things. If people want to catch your podcast, where can they find you at, and then on social media as well?
Yep. I think we have 342 episodes up, bosshogofliberty.com. We do a Facebook live stream of every episode over there. If you're, absolutely an insane person and want to learn about local Indiana politics and government, we're doing I think a 10-week deep dive into all of the local elections that we're going through. We're mercifully counting down the days to May so that we can get back to something fun instead of the local politics. We got some racing stuff coming up in May we're going to talk about on here. So everything's on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are sold. You can check us out. And we're the sponsor, by the way, lap 66 of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis. So somebody's in that race, you lead lap 66, you win my $500.
Awesome. Again, good stuff as always. Thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to join us, and definitely look forward to talking to you more and then possibly seeing you in about 1 month's time.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate being a part of it, and we'll see you all soon. Hope to come back.
Thank you.
All right, and that was Jeremiah Morrell. Go check his work out at wherever you get your podcasts and things of that nature at. We are rolling towards the end of the show, so that does mean, like I explained earlier, our betting expertise, so to say, is going to be joining us. It's been a few weeks since we've been able to catch up with this gentleman, but Mike, who does excellent work when it comes to the world of betting, especially on IndyCar, is joining us as always. Mike, go to us. And then also too, we do have a new co-host with us as well. I'm sure you know this gentleman, but Devlin Francesca is going to be joining us when his schedule allows.
What's up, man? Good to see you guys. Good to be back. I forgot the IndyCar season was going on. I hate the schedule. I don't know. I'm sure you guys talked about that, but yeah. It's like I feel like we're starting a new season. So the bank account and the betting account's been full of Masters bets, March Madness bets, and I've been staring at IndyCar Championship odds for the last couple of weeks. I had to scour around a trip to Vegas looking for some odds for the Indy 500. I did find some actually. But we've already invested in that. So, I'm excited to get back to betting and try to get back to Long Beach and hopefully get some odds on the board here soon, get back to betting. And obviously the Super Bowl of IndyCar betting comes in about a month's time.
I would love to ask.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And you said you put some bets on the Masters. I know you bet the farm on Scotty Scheffler this weekend, didn't you?
Nah, dude, I had a ticket on Aberg, who came in second. Scotty was too expensive. What were you going to say, Devlin?
As you were saying, the Super Bowl of IndyCar betting is in a month's time. I was just wondering, who did you make, who are you long on and who are you not betting on for the biggest spectacle in racing?
So I have a bet in so far on O'Ward. I believe it was somewhere in the low double-digit range. I'd have to look at the. It's been a while, like I said, since we made those preseason bets. But typically, the Indy 500, the odds will move as we get closer and closer, and they'll get better. So you'll get better. The sportsbooks don't give great numbers early in the year. They just don't want any exposure to anything like that, and so everybody's pretty short. You're going to see like 4-1s, 5-1s. I think Palou is the favorite. I can pull it up here in a second as we talk, but yeah, typically I'm waiting. Like the thing that you like to do is look for matchups. My absolute favorite thing to do for Indy 500 betting is my favorite prop bet, which did not hit last year. I think it's 5-1 in the last 6 years, is the grid position, starting grid position under 8.5 to win the race. So anybody starting 1 through 8 to win, you usually can get that at a pretty good number. And that bet's hit for me the last 6-7 years, ever since it started being posted. Of course, Joseph spoiled my party on that bet last year. But otherwise, you get prop bets in the Indy 500, you get more matchups. So head to head, driver versus driver. It's not just betting the winner, which is extremely hard to do in IndyCar. There's so many guys that win. I'm usually betting top 3s, top 5s, and those bets usually don't come out till race week. I just spent the last 20 minutes searching all the sports books to try to find some Long Beach bets. I got nothing coming up dry. But like right now, for instance, Pelot's your favorite for the 500, 5-1, Award 6-1, Dixon 6-1. So that's the list here, all the way up to Anderson, which is 250 to 250 to 1. So right now, just Pelot. I actually do have a McLaughlin bet for the Indy 500 at 12 to 1 in there as well. So that's all I got right now. And then as it gets closer, we'll see. You get a whole month of May to see who's fast and pay attention to stuff that the sports books aren't paying attention to for sure. And maybe you find a little bit of a diamond in the rough and get some guy at a good number.
All right. With no odds out yet for this weekend, Mike, who are some of the guys that you are looking forward to get numbers for?
It'll be interesting because Andretti is obviously hot at Long Beach for the past couple years, but I don't think the sports books will know that. Maybe I don't know, but it'll be really interesting to see where they post Kirkwood's number. Usually Kirkwood's like a 10 to 15 to 1 range guy on most race weekends. I want to say for St. Pete he was 15 or 20 to 1. I think he was 20 or 30 to 1 because I believe we bet him. So I don't know. I expect Newgarden to be the favorite. Maybe Pelot to be number 1-2 with those guys. Award probably the third guy. The sports books will probably just copy the championship standings, and then maybe when there's guys like me posting about it or some people that are betting bigger bucks might move the market a little bit. It'll be interesting to see the Nick Giffens of the world at action, who is a big Kirkwood guy. So it'll be interesting what they put his number at, and then the rest of the Andretti staple out there. I was an anti-Ericsson guy last year. That was mainly because of the bet against him I had. But he's good at this track, and he's in an Andretti car now, so that's interesting. So I mean, it'll be about the numbers. Like I'm not touching a Newgarden or a Pelot if they're the favorites. Award top 3 always interests me if that's like 2-1. So I don't know. We might not get numbers. I believe last year at Long Beach, we didn't get any numbers till after qualification. So hopefully we'll get something on a Thursday, Friday. They might wait till the first practice to post anything. There's just not this is like a lull for IndyCar. Not a lot of interest out there. There's NBA playoffs going on. There's NHL playoffs going on. So I call every time I talk to my sportsbook buddy and I ask him to tell me what the IndyCar odds are. His first thing is, are they racing? I don't even know. So, so we'll see what happens, man. There's a lot more legal sports gambling, a lot more states that have IndyCar interest in them. So hopefully people will be clamoring for it. And then, the books want to take money. So hopefully we get some odds up on Friday, but we'll see. The Andretti cars, obviously the ones to watch.
All right. Last question that I have, and I'll turn it over to Josh and Devlin. You brought up an interesting point about not a lot of people maybe have eyes on IndyCar betting this weekend due to other things like the NBA playoffs, etc. Would this be the time to try to strike while the iron's hot, so to say, with not a lot of people maybe having eyes on IndyCar this weekend?
From a betting perspective, look, it's you always, if you're paying attention, like I've made money in IndyCar because I pay more attention. Sportsbooks aren't taking a lot of money. Like if you just pay attention and you just follow the right amount of people on Twitter and you talk to people like you guys that are, and people who are tapped into some of the stuff in the paddock, like you can, and you just pay, like, I keep spreadsheets on all the races and you can go back and look at all the data and stats. Sportsbooks aren't doing that. They're just trying to balance their books. They want to have certain exposures on guys. They want to take in a certain amount of money and break even or just collect their 10%. So, there's always that option. And then sometimes we get those opportunities. Like it happens every now and then. We've had situations. I know in the past, I remember it sticks out to my head a Detroit race where Will Power was just totally mispriced and he was number 1 in practice by several seconds. And a couple of years ago, and the sportsbook didn't realize it, and he hadn't won a race. He was struggling, and we nailed that. I think that was the race where he jumped in the fountain with his kid. if I recall. But yeah, so like you never know. Like it's all about the numbers, man. Betting's all about the numbers. You guys have heard me talk about that forever. Obviously, look, if you're doing it for fun, there's fandom in it. Like it makes the races more interesting, in my opinion. And you can just bet for your guy. You know, like I've always been a big power guy. You guys know that. I'm starting to become an award guy as he's helping my bank account over the last couple months in my sports betting apps. So obviously I'm invested in award, and obviously McLaughlin's the other guy who's been cashing tickets left and right. And those are the two guys that I'm invested in for the championship. You know, I want to see an award McLaughlin championship, and obviously I bet against Pelot this year to win less than 3.5 races, so win less than 4 races, and Dixon I bet against to win races this year. Well, obviously last year I got to sweat out Ericsson the entire year. Something for me to root for, you know. So we'll see. Like it makes it more interesting, makes it more fun, but it's all about the numbers. You got to see what the numbers are, and then you go with what you know. And I just assume I'm pretty confident that I'm more plugged into what's going on, and you pair the betting knowledge up with what's going on in IndyCar, and then you know it's tough, guy. It's a tough thing. It's not Max Verstappen winning every race.
Which is why I think we have such a great product in IndyCar, right? There are so many competitive teams, so many competitive drivers. You know, each weekend you don't know who's going to go and win. You know, people can win the race from 5th, 10th, even 15th. If it's your day, you nail the strategy. There's just many variables in IndyCar, which I think is partly why our product is so amazing.
Yeah, man, perfect. I agree 100%. And that's what would make the sports betting end of it I think it would, if IndyCar would just embrace it a little bit, partner up, put MGM bet on the side of a car, maybe do a little bit of marketing around it. Like there was a time where DraftKings Sportsbook and they're trying to get customers. They're throwing money at series. I mean, they paid the NFL and the NBA a lot of money to partner up with them. You know, if IndyCar could just do a little bit of that and have a little, you know, you see DraftKings and then they do promotions around the betting, and like I think just the competitiveness, because it makes the betting so much more fun when you have all these different guys that can win. You have all these different things. Like, you know, half the time I'm paying attention to the guys who are in 11th and 12th because I have a matchup bet on the two of them. I could care less who's winning the race. I just want to see who beats who, you know, in the back of the pack. But it's always competitive. So I just feel like, you know, my thing is you've seen all the other major sports embrace sports gambling. You've seen it get legalized and become popular. You can't like watch a sport without a commercial. Nowadays you're watching a sport and the commercial pops up that says, go bet it right now. And they give you the odds on the commercial at DraftKings. Like there's so much more IndyCar can do. They've tried a little bit here and there. It's been a little comical, like, you know, when some of the commentators, like they'll talk about numbers that don't even exist anymore, like pre-qualifying numbers. They don't quite understand it. Like, so they've gotten a little bit close. They just partner, like it's kind of the IndyCar story. They always partner with the wrong people. Like they partner with NBC Sports PointsBet. That's pretty much like a defunct sports book. It doesn't really, nobody uses it. Just like they partner with like the wrong video game company, like same crap. Like, so I wish they would do a little bit more. I think it could grow the sport. I've used the comparison to golf. Like golf has exploded because people like to bet on golf, a younger generation, and now people are playing it as well as betting on it. I mean, I was betting shot for shot at the Masters every day, and was betting matchups and was doing fantasy lineups and was doing, you know, IndyCar likes to do their own thing. They have their own fantasy platform, which. Like I want to play fantasy. I want to throw $5 in, make an IndyCar fantasy team, and have the opportunity to win 10 grand. Like that's what you can do for NASCAR. That's what you can do for F1. F1, I can throw $10 in and win $1 million every race if I pick the right lineup. So, you know, I wish they would do that kind of thing and just embrace the sports betting a little bit, because I think the product itself lends to some really good opportunities for gaining some more fans in the younger demographic, you know, the 20 to 45, 20 to 50 range. So that's my take.
As always, that's a great take, Mike. You know, you've answered all my questions. Like I said, like I always say, we're looking for those odds, and we don't have them yet. So once we get closer, we'll be listening to looking at yours and Tony Donahue's Twitter page and making sure that we follow you, because you've made some people a lot of money.
Yeah, look, man, I think right now, I think it's just a wait and see. I'm playing, as soon as I get odds, I'll post them. Usually nowadays people send them to me. We've gotten a big enough following. So they beat me to it. Still got a day job, trying to focus on sometimes, but yeah, I mean, this weekend, man, I think watch out for the Andretti car numbers. I got my eye on Herta if you want to be sneaky. If Herta gets posted anywhere from 10 to 15 to 1, that's a bet for me probably. Pato top 3. If you can get that at 2 to 1, maybe even plus 150, I would jump on the Pato top 3. I think, we'll see what happens there. Always remember, save half your money for after qualifying, because qualifying, again, these guys are all going to qualify within a second of each other. And and that makes a big, and this is another, street circuit, right? So this is a track position circuit, for the most part. So, those are the guys I'll be looking for. So Award, Herta, and then the Kirkwood number, he's been, dominant here. I made the mistake of fading him last year and kind of got bit by that. So we'll see. But wait for, we're gonna have to, it's been a while since they raced too. These guys, they've been testing for a while. I want to see what happens in practice. So I'll have my eyes glued to practice on Friday, and then take that from there and look at the gambling numbers, the betting numbers we have. And then I'll post all the bets. I post my betting card and post as many bets as I can do that I put out there for everybody to see.
Mike, good stuff as always. If people do not follow you on X or Twitter, shame on them, but where can they find you at? And then will there be a X/Twitter Spaces this weekend before the race?
Ooh, good question. Tony and I have not touched base. He's busy following around Caitlin Clark in Indiana. So I don't know. Follow at Indy_bet. I'll have all of the I'll post it all, and then if we can hook up Sunday to do a Spaces, I'll post that out there if we're going to do that real quick. If we get, I guess it all depends on what kind of numbers we get. There's a situation where we don't get anything. I doubt that. I'm sure there'll be something posted here by Thursday or Friday. The sports books have been a lot better about that as the years have gone on here. So we'll see what they post, and then we'll keep an eye on the Twitter. And if we're going to do a Spaces, we'll announce it there and give you the time. And if not, the recording will be out there so we can listen and get their bets in, and hopefully win some money on the race on Sunday.
Again, Mike, good stuff as always. Can't wait to see what the race brings this weekend. We'll definitely be checking your Twitter/X to get all of the odds when they're posted. Huge thank you, and we'll talk again in a week and see how much money you've made, everybody.
All right, boys. Good luck. See you.
Best of luck, Mike.
Good stuff there from Mike. Definitely check out his Twitter there, because if you're interested in making money, and I'm not sure how you're not, but if you are, definitely check out the information that him, Tony, and everyone else puts out on racing odds for Sunday. Fellas, I think that about wraps it up. Josh, Devlin, anything other topics we want to hit on? You guys want to hit on before we drop the checkered flag on this show?
I think we covered some great things, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Yep, same here. It was a great show. Great having Devlin on, and look forward to recapping Long Beach next week.
Yep, I'm going to second what Josh said there. Definitely excited to have Devlin with us, and wait to go over what's going to be an exciting race at Long Beach next week. So that does it for this episode. Huge thank you to everyone that's going to listen and view either live or at a later date. Huge thank you to both Jeremiah Morrell and Mike for joining us. So for myself, Josh, Devlin, and everyone else here at the Push to Pass podcast, we will see you in 1 week's time. So long, everybody.